The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Will the delegate from Suffolk yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
I yield.
Delegate yields.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask the delegate, I was on the subcommittee that heard this bill, but I understand from the bill presentation that this bill is sort of a joint initiative of yourself and also the current Attorney General's office. Is that correct?
That would be correct, but I would also say to the delegate that I don't think that human trafficking and trying to prevent that has a partisan line. I would be very clear on that.
Mr. Speaker, will the delegate yield for an additional question?
Will the delegate yield?
I gladly yield.
The delegate yields.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I certainly agree, and that's why I voted for this bill, that human trafficking is an important bipartisan issue that we all need to tackle. I guess my question is whether it was your idea or the Attorney General's idea to put this training standard in paragraph 37. So there you see that this is a 6-page bill. We've added 8 words in a 6-page bill because this covers a lot, this section covers a lot of different things. And while your presentation, you suggested that this requires and provide this training, actually, the decision was made to put this language in the section 37, which establishes training standards and model policies. So was it your idea that we just put it there and not actually make people receive the training, or was that the Attorney General who thought we should just put it there and not actually have anybody receive the training?
I would say to the delegate, there is a long list, and you know, as you clearly reading the code on line 166, this is adding subsection, I believe, J, that we're adding this to other compulsory training standards that we have, including how to conduct traffic stops, how to properly do alcohol traffic stops, and how to conduct many other things that law enforcement personnel are required to do. The good news is I understand the department will be able to absorb this cost because they already have the appropriate training aids to be able to do this training properly. But I would also add to the delegate that in addition, we also conducted meetings with a human trafficking survivor and others in the law enforcement community to make sure we put this in the right place in the code.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to the bill at the appropriate time.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I'm certainly not going to encourage anybody not to vote for this bill. I think that it's important that we address human trafficking in our standards. I would suggest that this bill is a missed opportunity, Mr. Speaker. This bill, essentially, the reason that the staff already has the training materials for this is because immediately prior to the line that we're changing, we've already got a requirement that they have sensitivity and awareness of human trafficking offenses. So really, I think what we just heard from the delegate is this bill, as it's written, doesn't really do anything. It doesn't change anything. Maybe puts a little finer point on what has to be in the model policies. However, under Section 38, we had an opportunity where it says that the DCJS will establish compulsory training standards for basic training and recertification. And we have that same list of things that we could have added. In fact, we had a bill introduced by someone on our side with amendments that would have added this language to the compulsory training standards so that everybody would actually have to receive this. We also have a section on what we have to train for school resource officers, right? A lot of human trafficking is happening at schools in Virginia. Students at elementary schools and high schools, and regardless of what you think about whether we should have SROs there or not, when we have them there, we think they ought to be trained to recognize signs of human trafficking, be sensitive to the problems that people that may be victimized by human trafficking have a trauma-informed training on what these folks are going through and how it might be best to approach them and get to the bottom of these things. We think that these things should be mandatory, compulsory. It rises to that level. Right? So we can all vote for a feel-good bill about human trafficking that adds it to one more thing that we're going to have a model policy for that sounds a lot like the line that's right above it. We can all check the box. Supported human trafficking this year. The Attorney General said it was a priority and we were going to do it without costing any money because it doesn't do anything. But Mr. Speaker, members of the House, we had an opportunity to do a much better job on this. I still encourage everyone to go ahead and vote for this bill. Please vote for this bill. Don't be accused of being against human trafficking. But I will say, Mr. Speaker, this is a missed opportunity. I hope that we can do better going forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading? As many as favor that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and passed to its third